It's showtime at Homestead, Miami.
Andre Baranowskis at the line, steals it in the Indy 250.
Gordon to Baxter's in trouble, there they go. Gordon to the wall, jumps right around.
Side by side on the final lap, coming to the checkered flag.
Steve Morgan, the last lap half, and the victory in Las Vegas.
Welcome to the NOFSRL.
Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and this is race number 14 in season number 9 of the NOFSRL Chick-fil-A Cup Series. We are here in the middle of the country, the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, for the Great Wolf Lodge 454 laps of action around this 1.5 mile racetrack, and it's going to be an interesting one here today, as I say with many races. But this is definitely one of the more unique mile paths we go to, and I say that because it's one of the flattest ones we go to, and one of the most rhythmic ones we go to as well. So if you don't hit your marks into the corner correctly, you're going to wash up the racetrack, and the guys behind you are going to get an advantage. But either way, I'm alongside Matt Took for the call of this one here from the Kansas Speedway. And it's a slightly difficult track to work your way from the back to the front, but for guys starting deep in the field here today, what is their strategy going to be to move their way towards the front here at the Kansas Speedway?
Well, you definitely want to get all the advantage you can on your restarts when your tires are fresh, especially at the initial jump too, when everybody's all bunched up. But alongside just that, you're going to want to be consistent moving through the field. Take the correct chances when you can, and when it does come time, execute on pit road and get in and out of there without losing any track position.
And we'll have to see how the pit strategy plays out in this race. In Thursday's Turkey Hill Series race here, we had a wreck coming off the pit lane. Thankfully, it didn't really put anyone on the tail end of the lead lap or a lap down, but it did work in the advantage of 3 drivers who stayed out the longest, and one of those guys, I believe, finished in the 2nd position. Of course, one guy who'd already made a pit stop before the wreck happened ended up winning the race, so those fresh tires mean a lot. It's going to be an interesting race. The strongest car is probably going to win. That's just how it works here at Kansas, but it's going to be interesting. We really don't know what to expect here in this race, so I recommend you stick around here on this Saturday afternoon. Here are the point standings after 14 races here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. Only 7 races remain until the end of the regular season. Reagan Whitlock is 84 points ahead of the cutoff. Samet Ozkin, 75 points ahead of the cutoff. Shane Lake is 64 points ahead. Alexander Rowe, 49 points ahead. Andrew Miller, 27 points ahead. Bradley Ream and Mark Davidson both tied 25 points ahead. Silas Orta, 16 points ahead. Ryan Durrani, 14 points ahead. And Zachary Fitzwater, 3 points ahead of the chase cutoff. Then Diego Yepes, 3 points behind. Here, Joe Larvin Alonso, 5 points behind. And Nathan Stapleton, 6 points behind. And if any of those guys from Silas Orta down to Fitzwater wreck out in this race, Yepes, Alonso, and Stapleton going to be right there to jump inside the top 10 in points. In the wildcard standings, Fisher G holds on to the lead over there, 15 points ahead of the cutoff, and Jesse Turner is 6 points ahead of the cutoff after that second place run in the Coke 600. Then Thomas Troxel, 6 points behind the cutoff, Iquan Haslam, 17 points behind, and Wyatt Quayle, 25 points behind, coming into this, the 14th race of the season. Like I mentioned, only 7 races remain before the cutoff occurs for the chase, and 12 drivers will be in that chase. The top 10 drivers in the points and the 2 drivers with race victories with the most points outside the top 10, hence the wildcard points you see right there with Fisher G and Jesse Turner. It's going to be an interesting one here at Kansas, and we're ready to get this one going here from the Kansas Speedway. Cody Sill going to be leading us to the green flag in the number 37. A great starting position for him. The last time we were at Chicagoland, which was last year, and he's won that race twice before, he won. So Cody Sill looking pretty good here at Kansas. A very similar racetrack starting from the top position alongside him. It's Cameron Garlington in the number 34. Row number 2, we have ourselves Dale Lightning and Reagan Whitlock, our points leader there on the outside lane. And it's LJ Sameto to the inside of defending Chick-fil-A Cup Series champion Nathan Baird in row number 3. Row 4 sees Trey Barjo and his teammate Christopher Alphaby. Alphaby, the hot seat driver for Titan Fury Motorsports this week, and managed to get that 71 in the show. And it's Brad Stover to the inside of Brett Sierra in row number 5. Make sure everybody's rolling off right here. And Matt, who do you think is going to go to victory lane here today at the Kansas Speedway?
Seeing how important track position is here, you're definitely going to want to start somewhat up front. I'd say probably where you want to be, that 99 car Brad Stover. He's sitting pretty starting this race here. I think he'll end up in victory lane by the end of the day.
Titan Fury has not had a good season so far. However, they have all 4 of their drivers in this race starting inside the top 12. We'll see if that translates to a race victory later in the day. But either way, Cody Sill wants a race victory, and he's going to lead us to the green flag and the Great Wolf Flies 400 from Kansas. Cody Sill will get the jump at the start of the race. Dale Lightning, LJ Sameto going after it for the second position. You got Trey Bartow here in the 4. And you see Kukulon move up the racetrack. Oh. And he got a bit of contact there from John Art, but they kept it together. We're going to see these guys overshoot turn 2 all day, I do believe. We saw that a lot on Thursday in the Turkey Hill Series, and we got almost 4 wide here between Dalio, Baird, and Garlington, and John Art. 3 of those guys are champions, and 1 is the all-time winningest driver on Napa Fan. Pretty good drivers right there, just inside the top 10 here at the Kansas Speedway. John Art moving up, and in the wall! Dale Lightning and LJ Sameto got into it, but they keep it together. But they're going to fall way back in the field, and after his first top 10 of the year, Dale Lightning is going to accumulate a little bit of damage. Doesn't look too bad on the 38, but he's going to lose a ton of ground there after that incident with LJ Sameto. Wild couple of first laps here at the Kansas Speedway.
They are using Cody Sill, loving everything. He is seeing out his mirror. They are getting all crazy. Oh, there they go again.
And now Brad Stover in the outside wall. His teammate just got into him there. My goodness.
They are getting all over the place here. And that second pack, now the front's cleared out a bit. That second pack, you're not going to want to be in that right now. You're going to want to find a way to break it up for a bit from that, because these guys have been going crazy here in the first couple laps.
Yeah, Trey Bartos, he's a guy who's fallen back quite a bit through the field. He started in 7th. He's now losing a ton of ground. Same with Cameron Garlington there in the 34. You see him a little bit farther up, but he's still right in the middle of all this madness. And so much 3 wide and all this nonsense in the middle of the field. If one guy makes a mistake, it's going to be a huge wreck. But look at where Dale Lightning fell all the way back inside, or should I say outside the top 30, right around the 30th position right now. That did not work at all for Dale Lightning. Such a tough break for him. But the good thing is he still has his race car and he's still going strong. And speaking of going strong, Cody Sill took advantage of all that happened behind him and is just pulling away from the field here at Kansas. Gatlin Downey is now in 2nd. Then it's Kukulon, Matt Dalio, Nathan Baird, Hairjo Larvin Alonso. Great run for him. He's inside the top 10 now. Keegan Thompson to the inside of Ryan Durrani. And here comes Tristan Allen moving his way to the inside through the top 10.
Everyone's starting to settle down a little bit here. Everyone after that first initial start, seems like everyone. Oh, Alonso getting the inside there. Everyone's starting to, find the rhythm here. Get into a groove here as we start clicking laps off the counter here. Just hopefully, we can get tone it down. Keep the racing up, and we'll get a lot of good action here today.
And we've already had a lot of great action here in this one so far. Brad Stover got sent into the wall by his teammate a couple laps ago. He's trying to rebound to the inside of Nathan Stapleton and Ryan Durrani. Oh boy, they're going to squeeze it there, and they're almost 4 wide, and they are 4 wide. And Stapleton's going to go around. And he's not going to save it. Turner into him. And a hard wreck for Cameron Garlington. Trey Bartow also caught up in this one. Shane Lake, Salmon Oskin, and Jesse Turner. And it was bound to happen at some point in this one. A huge wreck entering turn number 3. And Shane Lake, Jesse Turner, Samit Oskin, Bartow involved. Christopher Altheby as well in the 71. He had a huge opportunity today at scoring his first ever Cup Series race victory, but that's not going to happen for him. Got a little wild there through turn number 3. As a matter of fact, it happened down the backstretch, and they were 4 wide off the corner, and hardly any place is that going to work. And Stapleton, who was just a few points outside the cutoff, is most likely going to fall a little bit farther behind after this one. Iquan Haslam got caught up in that. So many good drivers caught up in this one. I think Troxel has some damage in the 35. And Yepez got into somebody in the 88 machine. Drivers are starting to come down the pit lane. They are led by Cody Sill, but not everyone is coming down. Split strategy. Kukulon is going to stay out with Baird in second. So this is going to change up the whole complexion of this race. Cody Sill has led every lap so far, but he is not going to be the race leader once we get back to racing here at the Kansas Speedway. His teammate right behind him there, Silas Orta. And Cody Sill is yet to leave his pit stall. Matt Gallio wins the race off of those guys, and there might be an issue on the 37. Took him a little while to get off the pit lane right there, so Cody Sill's race has gone from good to bad to worse.
That was a very slow stop there. Great stop by the 79 team of Gallio. He got a big, or 75, my bad. His team did a good job there. Alonso's guys, they also got him a few extra spots there. This is going to be interesting here. I'm not sure. Could you split the race at this point on just one more stop if you do these guys? If you go,
I think everybody still has to make one. It's a traditionally one-stop race. So these guys who stayed out, they still have to make one stop. But so do the guys who already came down. I think they're looking to get an advantage on tires here. Possibly pull themselves away from the guys who did stay out. But interesting to see that split strategy. Going to be interesting to see how that all plays out once we get to the restart. But first, let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the first caution of the day here in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 from the Kansas Speedway. 4 wide off of turn number 2. I don't have to explain why this is a bad idea. Bradley Ream really came in there on the inside, and Brett Sierra had nowhere to go but to get him to Nathan Stapleton, and they almost saved it, but Iquan Haslam was there, and if Haslam was not there, I think Stapleton would have been able to save that 97, but Haslam not happy with what happened. Actually didn't even really get into him that much. Stapleton just lost it, and then Jesse Turner and Cameron Garlington, a couple of Chick-fil-A Cup Series champions with nowhere to go, right into Stapleton. And then you see Turner get rear-ended by Trey Bartow. Thomas Troxel has nowhere to go. Alexander Rowe, I think, avoids this. Good job out of the Daytona 500 champion, Daniel McMillan, Andrew Miller, Nathan Faden. They all avoided. Quite a few guys did, in fact, avoid this accident, but right here, nowhere to go for Shane Lake or Sam Oskin. And how about our points leader, Reagan Whitlock? Just got a tap there from Oskin. But he... You know what? Yeah. Just a bit of damage on that 92. He'll be able to continue without much damage, and that will definitely play into Whitlock's favor because a lot of guys who were up there in the points, like Oskin, who's second, like Shane Lake, who's third in the points, they were caught up in that one. Tough break for Turner. He's in that wild card race, and this is something he did not need. And then back in there, Christopher Altheby. I think he might have ran into Cameron Garlington. We'll see what happened between those guys.
So you see the 71 after taking a youth the replay cam. You see the 71 Alphabet and the 15 of Shane Lake. They also came together behind all this, and then obviously, you know, we all know what happens here. Just nowhere to go for a lot of these cars. A lot of guys torn up. Shane Lake coming in there, massive hit there into Jesse Turner. Hopefully everyone's okay there, but I don't know, just a little bit over aggressive in some areas for some guys here early on. You know, risk versus reward. Was the risk of wrecking there outweighed the reward you were going to gain? But the way we got a lot of cars torn up here and a lot of days over early after this incident here.
Yeah, and it's surprising that it took them that long to actually wreck. I mean, we saw so many instances there where they could have wrecked. Thankfully, it happened kind of in the back of the field and not towards the front. And now that we get a single file restart, I think things will calm down a little bit in this race. But let's go on board somebody. That was a big enough wreck to warrant an onboard. Let's go ahead and see what Cameron Garlington was looking at in the number 34. On board, the number 34 of Cameron Garlington, and you see the 4 wide ahead of him. And then it's just smoke from then on there. Just couldn't avoid the 97 there of Nathan Stapleton. You see the rest of the wreck occur in front of him. Tough break for all these guys involved, but It was bound to happen at some point. A ticking time bomb here at Kansas. They are really loose around this place. They do not have near as much grip as the Turkey Hill Series guys or the Hearst Dash Series guys did a couple days ago, so it's going to be a wild one here. From the Great Wolf Lodge 400 from the Kansas Speedway, Sebastian Kukalon, your race leader. Let's see what he does on the restart here in the 14th race of the season. We are back here at the Kansas Speedway. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday afternoon here. The last Saturday of May. And it's June, a couple days from now, which is my birthday month. I'm turning 21. I'm old. Sebastian Kukalon stayed out along with roughly the top 11. And Kukalon will lead us to the green flag here on lap 13 of 54. Nathan Baird in second. Gatlin Downey, Keegan Thompson, Tristan Allen, Andrew Miller, Patrick Smith, Landon Smith Jr. in the 98. Ace Garcia and Mark Davis, and that's the top 10. Matt Dahlia was the first guy to come down the pit lane and win the race off. He restarts in 12th. Drivers out of the race include LJ Semedo, Sam Oskin, Christopher Alphabet, Jesse Turner, Shane Lake, and Trey Bartos. Such a tough season for Bartos so far. Maybe, just maybe, he'll get a win in his final season of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. Downey for second on Nathan Baird on the restart, but Kukalon looking to pull away from the rest of the field.
The 13 car, he's been fast so far. He put the bumper to his teammate Brad Stover earlier in the race.
And I think we already got another yellow, and Garlington got spun around again. Sure, he wants this day to just end. At the line, Kukalon wins the race back. And now it's really going to be interesting to see how the strategy plays out, because we only had one lap of green flag action right there. And it does appear that some of these guys who came down really didn't get much of an advantage on the guys who stayed out. So tire wear might not be too much of a factor right now, but we're going to have to see what our race leaders do now, because I don't know if the window is open to make it to the end or not. I don't think it is. We're going to have 40 laps to go next time we cross the line. But it'll be interesting to see if we get a split strategy here, or if everyone comes down or stays out on this yellow flag. But quick caution here. Garlington going around. Looks like Kukalon will lead them down the pit lane. And that strategy worked out for those guys who came down the first time around, because the only guys coming down now are the guys who stayed out. Which means that everyone is going to essentially be on the same strategy once we restart. Alonso will inherit the race lead with Matt Dallio, John Art, Ryan Durrani, and Brett Sierra. And if that caution did not come out, I think the strategy would have worked out for these guys, but they can't really risk staying out longer when they still have to make another stop in this race. So we're going to have to see how it all shakes out in this one. We got some strategy play here at Kansas. Definitely going to be interesting. Alonso leads the field. Let's quickly see what happened to Cameron Garlington to bring out the second caution of the day here in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 from Kansas.
So we see here Garlington getting into the 39 of Wyatt Quayle. Just, oh my goodness.
It's a hard hit there.
That's a massive shot to the wall there by the 34. Just overshot the corner, nowhere to go, couldn't make it stick, and slid up into the 39 of Wyatt Quayle. Assuming at this point, I mean, that's probably the end of Cameron Garlington's day. Not a day he's going to want to remember here at the Kansas Speedway.
Yeah, started on the outside pole for this race, but it went downhill from there, and I'm pretty sure Garlington's going to take it to the garage. But his teammate is leading the race. Joe Larvin Alonso stayed out. Of course, he came down under the first caution, so everyone's practically on the same strategy now, and Alonso is leading this race. Popeyes won on Thursday in the Turkey Hill Series. Alonso won as an owner in this race in the Turkey Hill Series. Have to see if he wins as a driver for his third career Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory, and with that, too, he's only 5 points out of the cutoff. A strong run here today could put him right inside the chase grid, and Alonso looking pretty strong this season. A very consistent ride so far in Season 9. Let's go ahead and see what he does in the restart in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 from Kansas. So after a quick caution, ready to get back at it here at the Kansas Speedway. Going to restart on lap 18 of 54 in the Great Wolf Lodge 400. Here, Joe Larvin Alonso, the new race leader. Matt Dallio, John Art, Ryan Durrani, and Brett Sear are the top 5. All these guys, including Cody Sill, and Sill's now in the 9th position. Of course, remember, he lost a lot of positions on the pit lane under that last caution. But now he's back inside the top 10 after starting on the pole position and leading the first 10 laps of this race. McMillan inside the top 10 as well. Bradley Ream, who forced it 4 wide earlier, is now 11th. Alexander Rowe, Fisher G, Nathan Faden back in here, and then the first driver to have come down the pit lane. That will be the number 13 of Sebastian Kukulon. Very deep in the field. Nick One has an issue ahead of him. Tough break for the 64. I believe his day might be done, but remember, he's got a lot of damage, and a lot of these guys ahead of Kukulon have damage, like Yepes, so going to be interesting in the back of the field. But back up front, Alonso pulls away on the restart. Giant R on Matt Dalio for the second position, but Dalio trying to hang tough in that outside lane. Here comes Brett Sear in the 04, rookie driver, trying to make some magic around these veterans.
Brett Sear, he's been quietly hanging around there so far early on in the going in this race. He's been fast. That 75 though up front though, he's been fast too. A lot of these guys just, it's about timing your moves and making sure you do things without getting too aggressive. Here we want to you want to get around the guy in front of you, but you don't want to do it in a manner that's going to put you at more risk too. As Matt Dalio dives it in there.
These two have a little bit of a history. 2017 Indy 250. Dalio was one of those guys who had a contention for the championship, and I think he got into Alonso, and Alonso wasn't too happy about it because they were actually the two race leaders in that race. But Dalio gets around him. Of course, they've both been racing for a long time on Napa Fan, so they know each other pretty well. But Dalio taking the race lead here at the Kansas Speedway. And Dalio's not had that good of a season in the number 75. He did win the Meliola Smooth Fest, but during the season, he's had a few top fives here and there, but it hasn't been the best of runs. Not really his championship form that he was in early on in his career, but great run so far here at the Kansas Speedway for the number 75, and another caution. This time it's Ryan Durrani and another big wreck. Few guys going up in the outside wall. Mark Davidson in the 95 with heavy rear end damage, and then the 6 of Nicolay Sykes getting caught up. Landon Smith Jr. with heavy damage as well. Oh, and Brad Stover must have taken a hit somewhere and all that as well, because he's got a ton of damage in the 99, and San Mateo as well. I thought last week's race was the crazy one. Coke 600 had 4 cautions. That was the most we've had all season, but we've already got our third one, and we're not even halfway through this one here at the Kansas Speedway. Definitely a wild one so far here in the Great Wolf Lodge 400.
The dangerous back straightaway to be on today, that's for sure. Now this is going to be interesting.
It looks like 16? Baird's going to stay out, but a majority of the field coming down the pit lane. Kukulon, Downey, and I'm noticing now we're flipping off here. Oh, what in the world?
What's going on back there?
Iquan has him in the 64. I don't know where he even came from, but he got into his teammate on the pit lane. Tell you, man, this is a wild one so far. I mean, got a full moon tonight, possibly. I don't know. That's what they always say, full moon Saturday night. Of course, it's the middle of the day, but it's been a pretty wild one so far here in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 from Kansas. Matt Dalio coming down the pit lane. Didn't have near as many guys stay out this time. Only Baird, Kukulon, Downey, Ace Garcia, Keegan Thompson, Andrew Miller, and Landon Smith Jr. has him, I think, is a lap down at this point. And Brett Sear is going to win the race off the pit lane. Got the advantage on the 75 of Matt Dalio. Then it's Alonso and McMillan. And John Arndt, top 5 off the pit lane. Well, third wreck of the day. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the third caution in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 at Kansas. Bradley Ream into San Mateo. Durrani tries to cross over. Rose is like, I'm moving up, and Faden's there, and that's where Stover got his damage. Miller got caught up. And then ahead of this, Mark Davidson. I don't know what he was trying to do there, but he cleared Nicolay Sykes off the racetrack. Don't really know. That one was odd. For all the way from turn 2 to turn 3, just every little bit of that was just strange. Let's go ahead and get the slow-mo on that one. You see Bradley Ream there. He just shoots up into San Mateo. It's the second time Bradley Ream's kind of forced an incident, and he does not have any damage. But honestly, that's really not where the problem was. It was with Durrani trying to split the gap between San Mateo and Faden, and that did not work well for anybody. Alexander Rowe had a run to the inside, and he forced Faden up, so not the best of moves there for the 25, but then Faden shoots up into Durrani, and Stover just has absolutely nowhere to go. Surprisingly, Cody Silva does not gain any damage from this accident. Miller gets a bit of it there as he tapped into the 64. And that's all she wrote in the first part of that accident. And then do not ask me what Mark Davidson was trying to do here. Everyone's scrambling to avoid, but he peeks to the inside trying to gain a position on Gatlin Downey.
And
then he turns right when he's supposed to go left. And into Downey he goes, and thankfully it didn't knock out Downey, but he spins that thing around, loses control, and Nikolai Sykes is there, nowhere to go.
Felt kind of more like, not necessarily that he turned right, just completely drove it in there too hard and completely lost the back end of the car, but I don't understand this questionable move given the circumstances there that the caution had already came out.
Yeah, Davison, that's going to hurt him in the championship. He's only 25 ahead of the cutoff coming into this race. He's going to be a lot closer to that, or even behind that, after that one here from the Kansas Speedway. Matt Dalio came down the pit lane, and it cycled back to Nathan Baird being the race leader. Let's see what Baird does when we get to the restart here at Kansas. Back at the Kansas Speedway, and we might just be setting up for a crash fest here. So far, the average has been 100 miles per hour. They go a lot faster than that here at Kansas, I'll tell you that much. Lap 25 of 54 is when we will restart almost at halfway here in the Great Wolf Lodge 400, and already 3 wrecks in this race. Nathan Baird, Sebastian Kukulon, Gatlin Downey, Ace Garcia, Keegan Thompson, Andrew Miller, Landon Smith Jr. Ikwan Haslam is a lap down. Then it's Brett Sear who won the race off the pit lane, Matt Dalio, and here Jalarvin Alonso, the top 10 drivers out of the race. This is throughout the entire event, include, I believe, Brad Stover, Wyatt Quayle, Cameron Garlington, LJ Sameto, Sam Adaskin, Christopher Appleby, Jesse Turner, Shane Lake, and Trey Barton. Not many guys knocked out considering all the carnage we have had today. So good job out of these guys, keeping it a little bit mild on the accidents. Hopefully we don't have any more accidents, but odds are at some point, the way these guys have been racing, I think at some point we're going to have ourselves another one. But hey, who knows? I've seen stranger things before. Nathan Baird. Good jump on the restart. Kukulon up to second. Keegan Thompson looking for third on Gatlin Downey. Watch out for Brett Sear and here Jalarvin Alonso here. Dalio did not get a good restart. He's falling back in the 75, but watch out for these guys. They have slightly fresher tires than the guys ahead of them. And not only that, I believe everyone in this race still has to make another stop. You know what? When it comes to Sierra and Alonso, they might be good to go. But for these guys who stayed out under that last caution, I do believe they're going to have to make another stop in this race before this race is over.
I would figure probably it's going to be interesting because you have to remember too, every one of those caution laps that we run gets somebody who's maybe not quite there an extra lap closer to being able to make it. So it's going to be interesting. If it stays, it's going to be a matter of if we stay green versus if we have more cautions. As Alonso's getting way deep in. Oh no, please don't go through wide, guys.
McMillan is going to back out of that one.
Yeah, good call there by him. It'll be interesting. If it stays green, you're going to run into a very interesting fuel mileage situation, potentially. If it goes more crashes as Kukulon tries to take the lead here,
he's got it.
You know, it could be interesting.
Kukulon to the race lead, but Alonso is coming. He's already up to fourth. Fisher G. Gatlin down to getting into there a little bit. Ace Garcia. And it's turn 2. That's the trouble spot. They can't seem to find the grip on turn 2. And it's just very unique what they're doing through that corner. So many passes being made because of these guys sliding through the racetrack. Going to be interesting to see how they maneuver at the rest of the event. Baird got back around Kukulon, but Kukulon's going to look back around Baird. And Alonso's now up to third. I think Alonso has the strongest race car in this race for American Motorsports. They're side by side for the race lead, and Alonso's coming quick.
Alonso's not going to be afraid to take him 3 wide here. He's sizing that up. Let's see. Not going to take it there, but these two get side by side again. Don't be surprised if Alonso just cuts right through them there to try and take that lead.
First, Alonso's going to just go ahead and try to get one at a time to the inside of Kukulon for second. He's got Keegan Thompson behind him. Of course, Keegan Thompson also stayed out under that last caution. Watch out for the number 5 here as they enter through turn number 1 and 2. McMillan!
Oh!
Whoa! Whoa, boy!
Oh. Can he save it?
And Kukulon is off the racetrack in the inside wall. No caution. Not on the racing surface. My goodness, somebody's not going to be happy with McMillan in this one. That is such a tough break for Kukulon. Had such a good run going for him, but McMillan had the run and just sent him around off at turn number 2. Now Fisher G gonna bump into McMillan. And you know what? That might be just a little bit of indirect payback, if you know what I mean. He's gonna fall back into 79. As for the race lead, Alonso, he's cleared the 16, and Alonso might just pace this race from here on out. But Kukulon, that's got to hurt for him. Number 13 down the 32nd, 22 seconds off the race lead. Well, Matt, a wild one so far. We've seen everything here today. Brett Sira really overshot the corner there. That's going to open the door for John Art. Here comes Bradley Ream in the 40, his teammate. Watch out for King Art Family Racing in this one. They're looking pretty strong, and we might have 3 wide back in here. Matt Dalio, Patrick Smith side by side. McMillan is there as well. Okay. Thoughts on this one so far, Matt? You haven't gotten too much time to talk because I've been trying to announce all the crazy stuff that's been going on in this one, but what is going on out here with these guys?
I mean, it is no holds bar open season here today at Kansas. And Bradley Ream getting a big run there. A lot of side-by-side action, just a lot of aggressive moves today. A lot of them not paying off, but I mean, for the guys who are making them, you know, Bradley Ream being one of them, you know, there's a lot of guys who are making these aggressive moves, and it's paying off for them. As Bradley Ream probably going to get by John Art here in the next half lap or so. You know, he's moving himself up to 3rd, taking some guys 4 wide today. Questionable decision, but if he's sitting here in P3, obviously it's worked out pretty good for him. John Art's been fast here. Who else we got here? Brett Sierra's definitely been on interesting ends of aggressive moves here. Who else do we got?
Yeah, Eli Bright, the first time we've really seen him all day. He's in the 6th position. Matt Dalio, Patrick Smith, and Keegan Thompson ran out the top 10. Then you got Fisher G and Dana McMillan right around the 10th position there. Cody Sill, who dominated the first part of this race, is trying to hang on here. And Nathan Stapleton, who went around not that long ago, is now 13th. You know, this is going to help him tremendously in the chase. I think this one will move him inside the top 10. So great job there for Nathan Stapleton here today at the Kansas Speedway, considering he got involved in an accident, and now the caution's back out. Andrew Miller in the 24. It does appear he went around.
And this changes everything.
This might put everyone on the same cycle of tires. Alonso wins the race back to the line. Nathan Baird, John Art, Bradley Ream, and Brett Sierra, the top 5. And Miller had already had some damage. I'm wondering if he was falling back because of the contact he had from the prior accident, but looks like someone was a little impatient with the Red Bull machine. That's all I gotta say. Now,
if you're Alonso, if you're Alonso right now, you got to be kicking yourself because you knew the 16 car, even if he caught you, realistically had to pit again. But if you're sitting there as Alonso, the first guy on the track, I believe, I could be wrong, the first guy on the track who would have been able to be on the same stroke. Oh, hold on.
This is interesting.
Hold on.
Oh, man. You know, Alonso's coming down, but pretty much everybody else he came down with under that 3rd caution stayed out. And those guys who stayed out on that 3rd caution, I believe they're going to be able to make it. Alonso thought everyone was going to come down for tires. His crew chief just pulled an Alan Gustafson right there, if you're asking me, because I do not agree with that call whatsoever. Look at everyone who stayed out. John Art's now going to inherit the race lead.
Is that 2 yellows in a row? John Art has stayed out now, though. I feel like John Art didn't. I could be.
We can go back and review the footage there. We'll have to see. Alonso does at least win the race off the pit lane. Nathan Baird right behind him. Now we knew Nathan Baird, Keegan Thompson, Gatlin, those guys had to come back down again, so that's why they're all down. But Alonso,
that's a tough.
That's an interesting call right there. I do not get that, but how about King Art Family Racing? They're 1-2 right now in this crazy mess. Speaking of crazy mess, let's see what happens. Bring out the 4th caution, and then get to the restart with John Art leading the field here in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 from Kansas. And Andrew Miller, just overshooting turn 2. Been the trouble spot all day, just a little too much caffeine in turn number 2 between Miller and Ace Garcia, and thankfully that was all that happened. No massive hits afterwards, but tough break for Andrew Miller. He was having a solid run. And, you know, he's 27 ahead of the cutoff. I don't think he's going to go below the cutoff in this race, but he's going to be a lot closer to it after this one because I don't think he's going to be able to continue in that number 24. But interesting strategy here. John Art, the race leader. How is this going to play out for John Art here, Matt? Do you think he's going to have a shot at his 22nd career Napa fan win, or will somebody else get it done?
I would not want to be sitting, knowing, and I could be wrong, I would want to be sitting about 3rd, 4th, or 5th right now. We haven't seen anything to indicate on these restarts you're going to want to be sitting up leading this race, especially this late in the going here.
It's going to be fun to see how this one plays out. It's a big question mark on how this race will play out and who's going to win. Stick around. You're in store for a good one here from the Great Wolf Lodge 400 at Kansas. Well, well, well. 15 laps to go at Kansas. 4 cautions already in today's event. That ties the record for the season, which was in fact broken last week in the Coke 600. One more, and we have the record for 2020 in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. John Arndt, your race leader, stayed out into that caution. Of course, he is good to go to the end of the race. At least I believe he is. I hope he is.
I believe so.
Bradley Ream, Brett Sierra, Eli Brighton, and Matt Daly are the top 5. And the big question mark under that caution, Alonso came down the pit lane, took some fresh tires there. He is currently in the 17th position. Everyone behind him pitted, and the top 16 stayed at everyone behind him pit. I'm going to use the right terminology there. Restart here at Kansas. Brett Sear to the inside for second. That's going to help out John Arndt for now. Matt Dalio for fourth on Eli Bright. Here comes Patrick Smith in the 30 as well.
Getting very aggressive here on the restart, but as you should, knowing you've got a lot of guys behind you who are on fresh tires, you want to make do of everything that you can here right now. Sear getting the inside of Bradley Ream. These two side by side. John Arndt loves that, but he knows it's only going to last for so long, and then one of these guys, or maybe they're both going to catch him at the same time. It's going to be interesting here.
Yeah, Bradley Ream had the run on John Arndt, but he couldn't go to the inside and make a move, so Arndt's going to stay out front. Ream is going to lose a position there to Brett Sierra, and here comes Matt Dalio in the 75. Patrick Smith all around Eli Brighton, Fisher G. I think Nathan Stapleton, remember, he was caught up in that first accident. He's got a bit of damage. That's why everyone's kind of jamming up behind him. But Alonso's not really moving up through the field that well. Already up to 16th, but he only moved up 1 position since the restart. There's Mitchell Henderson getting around the 25 Alex in a row. Henderson won this race last year. Alex in a row driving the car that won this race last year. So maybe they'll find their way to the front. But Alonso, I mean, he still has one of the fastest cars. And my goodness, Silas Orta almost spun Alex in a row around like McMillan did to Kukulon earlier. There's so much action going around the entire racetrack, and Bradley Ream has gotten to the inside of John Arndt. Hopefully, I have the patience to edit this in Premiere, and you've been seeing all those lead changes in the corner of your screen here today. So much going on here at Kansas. Now, Matt Dalio right behind Bradley Ream for the race lead. Looking to the inside. Will he use the bumper? That's been a common thing here today. Not going to get the run as Ream stays out front here at Kansas.
Dalio, though, he's coming. He was fast early on, had a couple of good pit stop sequences, and now take a look here. We were talking before the restart there. Alonso pitting, was it a good call or not? Alonso's already back up. I believe this is going to put him, if he gets by these two, he's already back up into the top 5. He's got 10 to go, the fresh tires. An Alan Gustafson move, it did look like, but keep in mind, he had about 11 or 12 to go at the restart, so it's not like he didn't have 15, a limited amount of time.
15 to go at the restart. So he had a long time to go. However, Baird's on the same strategy as he is, and he's also been moving his way through the field. So Nathan Baird to the inside of Hergelarv and Alonso. These guys are 2 of the fastest guys in the field. And one thing I would love to mention right now, with the exception of now Alex in a row, who I believe has just moved himself inside the top 10. None of the guys in the top 10 have won a race yet this season. There goes Baird. That worked out so much in Baird's favor as John Arndt and Eli Bright got into each other through turn 2. And Alonso's going to get held up here in between McMillan and John Arndt. But now Nathan Baird might be in the position to win this race. Meanwhile, Matt Dalio has gotten a run to the inside of Bradley Ream, and he is going to take it away with 9 laps to go here at Kansas.
And every lap, these two are side by side. That allows Baird and who's in the? I'm terribly sorry.
That's Silas Orta there, and I believe Orta stayed out, so Orta's not on the same cycle as Baird. So I'd imagine Baird will be faster because of the fresh tires. Alonso did get out of that pretty quickly there. McMillan trying to hang with the 28 machine. But Alonso is closing back in. Meanwhile, Matt Dalio, Bradley Ream still 1-2. Now 8 to go in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 at Kansas. Baird to the inside of Silas Orta. Ream going for the race lead on Matt Dalio. He's going to get into Dalio through the corner.
And that's going to open the door up for Baird. Just got
Baird's coming. Ream had to check it up off the exit, and here comes the 16 and the 3. Silas Orta looking to go 3 wide for the second position. And that's exactly what Alonso wants to see. He wants to catch up to the back bumper of that 16 machine because I think this race is between Baird and Alonso. Dallio's going to lose 4 positions in 1 lap. Silas Orta's looking to the inside of Bradley Ream for the race lead.
This is going to be, you know, we say Baird and Alonso, but Silas Orta has come alive here with under 10 laps to go. He's got the lead here. Will Baird, Alonso, they're on the fresh tires. Which one of them can you get around Silas Orta quickly? And
Caution! Back out here at Kansas. We will have enough for a restart. Silas Orta wins the race back. Alonso is going to nick Nathan Baird at the line. And Nikolai Sykes in the 6th, maybe with Thomas Troxel for the 5th and hopefully final caution of the day. But you mentioning Silas Orta, he's had such a good run late in the going here. He's never won in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series before his sophomore year in this series. He is currently inside the top 10 in points, so this win is going to put him farther up in the points, possibly locking his spot into the chase. We'll have to see if that number 3 can hold off Alonso in the 28, and let me tell you, this guy wants to win more than anyone else in the field. It's been a while for Alonso. It's been a tough career for Alonso. Only 2 career wins. This win would not only be his 3rd career win in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series if he gets it, but it would put him inside the top 10 in points with only 6 races remaining in the regular season. And that means Alonso could be going for this championship for American Motorsports. Nathan Baird there in 3rd. Matt Dallio, Bradley Ream. If things get wild enough, one of these guys could have a shot. McMillan, John Arndt, Brett Sierra, Keegan Thompson, Gatlin Downey, the top 10. Nobody came down. They should all be good to go to the end. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the 5th caution of the race here at the Kansas Speedway. Well, most cautions in the race so far this season, and it comes here at Kansas with this wreck right here, and it was a wild one. Nikolai Sykes, Fisher G, and Landon Smith Jr. Sykes just overshoots the corner, and we've seen that enough today. And there's no room for him to go, and into the outside wall they go. Landon Smith Jr. and Fisher G both upside down.
Huge wreck.
And then you're going to see Nikolai Sykes cut back down. Thomas Troxel's coming in the 35. He's going to get a bit of damage from that. And then I think Dale Lightning as well also gets a piece of this one. But it's only a 5-car accident. It wasn't as big as some of the other ones we've had. But you're going to see Lightning there in the 38. So much has happened in this race. I can't remember if Lightning wrecked early on or what. But he was already kind of in the back of the field. And you see him go around right there. Tough break for Dale Lightning, but he should still get a decent finish considering all the guys who are going to get knocked out of this one here from Kansas.
Just watch this again there. Sykes sends it off into the corner. Not really sure that's the best call with all that damage, and then just absolute carnage from there. We see the 98-7 go upside down. Just a lot of damaged race cars here today.
Let's go on board Nikolai Sykes. He had a wild ride in this one. On board, Nikolai Sykes. A little too much power in the turn number 1, and whammo, my goodness.
It's a huge shot there by a lot of these drivers.
And Fisher G destroyed. Landon Smith Jr. also destroyed. Fisher G had a good race car, and he's not going to get a good run after this one. And Thomas Troxel, Dale Lightning, a couple of guys in the back also getting caught up as well. Gonna be an interesting restart. Silas Orta, your race leader. It's gonna be about 2 laps to go. A green-white checkered finish here at Kansas. Who's gonna get it done in the 14th race of the season? All right. What time is it?
It's Silas Orta time.
We'll have to see if it is 2 laps from now. 2 laps to go here in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 from Kansas. Silas Orta leading the field. Jared Gillard and Alonso, Nathan Baird on slightly fresher tires. Matt Dallio, Bradley Ream, that's the top 5. None of the top 10 drivers have won a race yet this season. We're probably going to get our 10th different winner here in Season 9 of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. That top 10 is what you got to focus on, but I think it's going to be one of the top 5 guys who gets this one done. Here we go, 2 to go in the Great Wolf Lodge 400. Alonso trying the outside. Here comes Nathan Baird to the inside for 2nd.
Baird got a blinding restart there, already down to the bottom. Inside Alonso, he's going past Orta. Is he going to get it there, the lead? Yes, he does.
He's sliding up. Here comes Alonso in the 28. Nobody got to the inside of him. Here we go. They're coming to the white flag here in the Great Wolf Lodge. 400, Nathan Baird, your race leader, but he way went up the racetrack. And Alonso to the inside for the top position. Here we go. White flag in the air for Hair Gel Arvin Alonso at the Kansas Speedway. 1 lap to go for American Motorsports. They're trying to win their first race in quite some time. Orta with a good run, but he cannot get to the inside of Alonso, and Alonso's going to pull away in the 28. Matt Dalio is in 4th, Bradley Ream is 5th, same drivers in the top 5, but a different order. Hair Gel Arvin Alonso. I don't think he's the worst driver in this series anymore. He had the best drive of the day. He's going to get his 3rd career Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory. Hair Gel Arvin Alonso wins the Great Wolf Lodge 400 at Kansas. How about Popeyes this weekend? They won both the Turkey Hill Series and the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. And we're in Kansas, not Louisiana, but who cares? Hair Gel Arvin Alonso, first win for American Motorsports all season long. Their first win since the Daytona 500 last year in Josh Marzak. Trey Wright, the owner of this team. Hair Gel Arvin Alonso gonna put himself in the chase. It don't get any better than that for the Philippine native Hair Gel Arvin Alonso. Gonna take a victory lap right there. How about that race? And Alonso, I knew he had the strongest car in this one. You thought Baird was going to do it. He had the restart of his life, but he just went too high there on Orta, and Alonso was there to take it away.
Yeah, and he tried to get it back on the last lap. He and Silas Orta, but Silas Orta couldn't make it stick there going down into 1 and 2 there on the last lap. Slid up just a little too much. Probably needed just to get it in there a little deeper. He might have been able to move Alonso up the racetrack, but either way, you know, we talked about it lap 36 or so when that caution came out. You know, Wood pitting for tires, there, you know, sink Alonso's chances of the victory. But in hindsight 2020, that was probably the call, combined with some of the timing he got those restarts, but that was probably the call there that ended up winning him that race.
Exactly, and I didn't think it was going to work out, but Alonso proved me wrong, and he did play the right strategy because he, like Matt mentioned, he was on the same cycle with Orta, Dalio, and all those guys. I think that caution helped him out a lot there. But how about that? Hair Gel Arvin Alonso. I mean, it's great to see him get a race victory. He's been in this series a long time, and he's won a couple of them. But this is really the first time he's won a race where it wasn't at a super speedway and it wasn't a complete dominating performance, because he was the strongest guy in this race. I think it was pretty clear all race long, but he didn't dominate this race. No one really dominated this race. It was all over the board. Not as many guys knocked out as I thought there would be, considering that we had 5 cautions, but still, a few guys got knocked out. Landon Smith Jr., Fisher T, we saw that one. Nikolai Sykes, Brad Stover, Wyatt Quayle, Cameron Garlington, LJ Semedo, Sam Manoskin, Christopher Altheby, Jesse Turner, Shane Lake, Trey Bartow. It'll be interesting to see how the points shake up. Reagan Whitlock finished 24th. I believe he'll probably remain the points leader because no one else is even close to him. Because, I mean, like I mentioned, Oskin and Lake, they are close to him, but they finished below him, so it's not really going to matter. So Whitlock should still be the points leader, but we're going to have some new guys inside the top 10. I don't really know, like, about Fitzwater. He finished 22nd in this race. You know, he really wasn't a factor all day in any capacity. Durrani did a good job. And, of course, Silas Orta. So those guys are going to jump up. I don't know about Mark Davidson either. He finished 21st. It's going to be interesting. That's why you're going to see the points here in just a moment. But either way, final thoughts on this race, Matt. A wild one here from the Kansas Speedway.
No, I don't know if I would say this was the best race of the year, but was this the most fascinating, wild race of the year? Easily, and it's not close so far. That was a lot of impressive driving there, and you got to, you know, Alonso and Baird especially, because they played the strategy right, and then they just drove their rear ends up off there at the end. But big shout out to Hair Gel Arvin Alonso. You know, overall, even though he came on, he had a storm back there. He definitely, you know, for the majority of that race, he definitely had the strongest car there, and he came away with the win for it.
I know he's going to be happy after this one. I know he is, and I'm glad he got it done. Kansas Speedway is done. It was a wild one. What a great weekend of racing all across the board, from the Turkey Hill Series to IndyCar yesterday, and today in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, and next week, we're just switching it all up. It's Iowa for Turkey Hill Series Thursday night. Friday night, it's Texas for IndyCar. Next Saturday afternoon, it's Portland International Raceway for the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. First time we've ever gone there in any Napa Fan Series, and we're doing it in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. Pretty much the replacement for Road America. Road America not on the schedule anymore for these guys, so that should be interesting. It's the first road course of the season. It's anybody's game when we go up there to the Pacific Northwest, and I'm looking forward to see how it all goes down there around that 1.97 mile road course, something along those lines. Can't
Not
exactly
a very
remember.
long,
But it's still going to be a great race for the Western Digital 350K next Saturday at, I think, it depends on when the real-life NASCAR races are going on. We'll have to maneuver around that. It might actually be in the late afternoon on Saturday, but it's going to be on Saturday next weekend right here on NAPFan. Congratulations to Joel Arvin, your race winner here in the Great Wolf Lodge 400 from Kansas. And here are the point standings for the Chick-fil-A Cup Series after 14 races. Only 6 races left before the chase cutoff. Congratulations to Joel Arvin once again. Thank you guys so much for watching, and on behalf of Matt Tuck, I will see you guys later.